Today on a special crossover episode, the Rockies really rockied in this series as the Texas Rangers take 2 out of 3. We're going to break down the series plus 50 games in. How are you feeling about your squad?
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans and Rangers fans, welcome into a special crossover episode of Locked on Rockies and Locked on Texas Rangers here on the Locked on Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Texas Rangers or the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot because that's what we do around here, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked on Rockies and Locked on Rangers YouTube channels, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your hot takes. You can let us know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies and the Texas Rangers. I am Paul Holden, one of your hosts today. I'm the host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, as I have for over 6 seasons now. And joining me, one of the guys that welcomed me into the fold all these years ago and been a lot of fun talking ball all these years here, Bryce Patrick of the Locked On Rangers podcast. Bryce, you had a lot more fun watching baseball this week than I did.
I sure did. At least for 2 out of these 3 games, I was just sphincter fully clenched in the 9th inning, just the final 3 innings of this game. The Rangers have, heading into this 3-city road trip, the Rangers faced 3 of the teams with the worst records in all of baseball, and the Astros and the Rockies and the Angels. You think this is a chance for a get-right road trip. Rangers lost 2 out of 3 against Houston. They were possibly going to lose 2 out of 3, if not for just a rough day behind the dish for Mr. Sullivan there. But this was a wild one, and probably one of the more unlikely Rangers wins of the season. Maybe for the rest of the season as well.
Well, and we'll just dive right into all the fun here. Well, I guess mostly fun. It was fun for a while here, but the Rockies have done this a lot. I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that the Rockies have blown games in bad fashions. I mean, this one's going to be up there. I mean, a catcher's interference and then a passed ball getting away. Obviously, it's wet. Maybe that was regardless. Professional backstops have to be better in that situation. And this is a thing I talk about a lot, where it's just like the Rockies wanted to take a step towards being a more professional, more competitive team this year. And for the most part, they have. They still have a long way to go. But remember, this is a team that was, still in the single-digit wins up until June, basically, last year. So there was, progress is still progress. But unfortunately, the Rockies have been a nightmare in the 8th and 9th inning, where good teams don't lose. You know what I mean? Like when you're and it's the Rangers are, maybe they haven't lived up to their expectations. They're still in they're close to 500. There's still plenty of possibility here. But when you're a quote unquote good team, you don't lose those games. You don't blow the leads in the 9th that the Rockies have blown, that they have. They don't collapse with these big leads like we saw in game 1. That's not the first time the Rockies have let a 5-run lead evaporate late into a ball game to make things close. It's not the only time they've, served up batting practice to the opposition as well. I think this series against the Rangers was just kind of a reminder for the Rockies fans that this team is still not good enough. I mean, you have to execute all outs, all 9 innings, all 8.5 if you're the team in the top, I suppose. But that's what I think. One of my big takeaways from this is it's just the Rockies are losing those games because they still got a long way to go.
I think they do have a ways to go. I don't think it's that long. Yes, those losses are the ones that just keep you up at night, that make you want to throw things and scream bad words. But this was not the cleanest series for the Rangers either. I mean, no. Defensively, the Rangers gave up 7 runs in that first game of the series, and you could pretty easily say that 4 or even 5, if you want to be really critical of the defense, you could say 6 runs were on the defense and not really on the pitching staff. I mean, the fact that the bullpen was able to come in an impromptu bullpen game, which is the second time the Rangers have done that in the span of a week. Eovaldi was scratched 2 hours before his start last Monday, and then having to do it again. And then thankfully, Gore after that one was able to cover 8 innings. He wasn't able to cover after the first inning, but like still those games are was a game that the Rangers gave away with their defense. And Josh Young has been a great defensive third baseman for several years now. This year he's just been bad. He said, I am, quote, but except he did not say but. He took full blame on it. Some bad defense by the catchers. Like there was a lot of just sloppy baseball played by the Rangers on money. The Rockies took advantage of it. And that's what good teams do. I've described the Rockies this year as a normal bad team. They are not historically bad. They're a normal bad team. And like genuinely, I think up until this year, up until they made these big changes at the GM level, at the, the ownership decided to make some actual changes, it has just been the same old thing. And I would think it'd be the most frustrating team to be a fan of, because like there is investment there. There's a beautiful ballpark. There have been like really great quality players there. But if the ownership is still going to employ the exact same people, try to do the exact same thing that has clearly not worked for like decades, at this point, that would absolutely infuriate me and make me just want to be a fan of another team. But making these smart pitching, like these decisions to like actually have like a Rockies pitching lab, I was like really looking forward to looking at Chase Dollander, but I'm actually kind of glad that he didn't face the Rangers, because I think that game on Tuesday might have gone a little bit differently had Chase Dollander been in it. But like these legitimately smart signings, I mean, guys like Cal Freeland, who hasn't had the best year, but they're quality guys all around. And things like picking up Mickey Moniak, turning him into a quality big leaguer, getting guys like Hunter Goodman, like a young, good hitting catcher, like those guys are very hard to get. And then not to mention Jake McCarthy, who is not anybody I knew much of anything about. Like that's a solid pickup. Willie Castro, I thought that's a fantastic pickup. Like that is a guy who can help a whole lot of ball clubs, do a whole lot of different things for ball clubs. I mean, Zeke Tovar hasn't been great offensively so far to start this year. You've seen some signs of life, and I think he's a really talented ball player, but like they have done some things like legitimately well. TJ Rumfield is a guy who is having a great season. I mean, we saw some quality at bats. I mean, that play, what was it, on Monday that he just fell into the dugout? I was like, you're freaking kidding me. And like the Rockies bullpen, there's a whole bunch of guys who throw like 98. They all have ERAs that start with 4 or 5. Like those are things that you can like figure out and tweak and fix. Like the actual processes going into decision making with the Rockies. Like I am so happy for Rockies Nation that like there is some actual meaningful change. There's a lot of smart people around baseball who for years have said, if the Rockies ever decide, if Dick Monfort ever decides like take his hands off and like let some actual smart people at it, like, it's a fascinating, Coors Field is a fascinating problem / challenge. Like it could be an actual opportunity and an asset if you build your team the smart and right way. Like there are some good things going for the Rockies, but games like this last one, honestly, they hurt a whole lot more than just getting your teeth knocked out 10-0, because you had hope, you should have won. And even with Jock Peterson playing in the outfield in this one from the last inning, which I'm not saying there was a legitimate decision between putting Danny Jansen out there in right field and Jock Peterson. In my mind, maybe there was a little bit of a decision there, but this was a frustrating one for sure. And honestly, like I want to give a huge shout out to Jacob Latz in this one. Leiter had a bit of a rough day. The velocity was down because it's like 32 degrees somehow in May, even though like right now, as I'm sitting here in Texas, it was like, it's down into like the 80s this week. It reached as high as like 95 already this year, which is typical for Texas. But Latz in a long delay, like this is a guy who has bounced between the rotation and the bullpen, not because he has been not good as a starter, because the Rangers have so many guys like Jack Leiter, like Kamar Rocker, like Mackenzie Gore, who they traded for, and of course the big dogs at the top of the rotation who didn't even pitch in this series in Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom. Like Latz has just been so valuable in a bullpen role, and now just straight up moving into that closer's role with that 30-40 minute top of the 9th inning where he was just sitting there, and Latz hadn't pitched in like a week at this point. So he's technically fresh, but any kind of a long layover like that can really get to a guy, but I think his experience being a starting pitcher, he's had several of these like multi-inning saves. Like there was one a couple of weeks ago, like in a one-run game, Jacob deGrom through the first 7 innings, and then Latz closed it out with a 2-inning save, and then him doing it again and getting the win in this one. I mean, he was just revving it by guys at like 95 to 97. Like he's normally 93 to 95, and he was just raring back. The changeup was working. The slider was working in this one. Like he was huge in this one. I was so clenched in the bottom of the 9th inning. I was like, the Rockies, they're going to do something. And if that happens and this goes to extras, the Rangers have already burned their DH. Like this could get very weird very quickly, but credit to Jacob Latz for making it not close, shutting down any kind of hope for the Rockies in the 9th inning. And I feel a little bad for Rockies fans, but I think the Rangers might have needed this one just a little bit more than the Rockies.
Well, I'll dive into that here in segment number 2. But yeah, I think this one's frustrating because the Rockies got out to a better start. They've been playing better baseball, and they want to see this team play these complete games. And they've just unfortunately had way too many of these collapses, blowing the big lead in game 1 and then letting things get away there at the end in a close game. They've lost a lot of those one-run games, and they've lost a lot of those one-run games in painful fashion as well. So I think this one, when you're coming from the Rockies fan perspective, is just like, man, like you're saying, the Rangers gave the Rockies every opportunity to win this series in 2 out of 3 games. The Rockies should have won this series. The Rockies should have been the team that came out on top. But like you said, baseball, you got to play it all. You got to get it all the outs, and you got to prevent the team from scoring the runs. And whether it be from back-to-back home runs or a catcher's interference in a passed ball, a run's a run. And unfortunately, those things will add up and have sunk the Rockies this year. But let's dive into just a little bit more of what went right, what went wrong into the series. Plus, let's do a 50-game check-in on the 2 squads here. Coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies and Locked On Rangers. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Nutrafol. Baseball's full of routines and superstitions, rally caps, lucky jerseys, all of it, and honestly, it can be the same when it comes to products for hair thinning, too. A lot of hype, not always a lot of confidence behind it. That's why there's Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand and the official hair growth partner of Major League Baseball. And one thing we know about Major League Baseball, the hair game on point. Whether it be the old big beards or the long flowing hair of your favorite ball player. Nutrafol takes a more personalized approach with formulas designed for different stages and needs. It's physician formulated, clinically tested, and NSF certified for sport, and adding it into a routine is easy. Just 4 capsules daily with a meal. Nutrafol is one of those small routines that really helps build confidence. Find out why Nutrafol is the only hair growth supplement brand trusted by MLB. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com. We are also brought to you by Gametime. Baseball is back underway. You heard Bryce say earlier, it is 80s degrees and higher in Texas. That means it's time to get out to the ballpark. Whether it's a breakout rookie or a division race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark for it. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where there's Gametime. The Gametime app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use. The Gametime guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part, fees are included in the price you see. So what you see is what you pay, period. So not only you have the confidence of 100% authentic tickets, you're getting the best price, and you're going to be able to get a panoramic view from your seat. So you're going to know exactly every little detail about your seat before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Back at it here for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies and Locked On Rangers as we're crossing over, recapping the series here as the Rangers take 2 out of 3. Hey, a reminder, get ad-free episodes and access to our Everydayer Club Discord server when you head to lockedonrockies.supercast.com and Locked On is it Locked On Rangers at
Locked On Texas Rangers?
Texas Rangers. I figured you got to throw the Texas in there. So Locked On Texas Rangers.supercast.com for details. So Rangers take 2 out of 3 in a series where, again, the Rockies had their moments, had their opportunities, but they just were unable to close games out. And that's really part of the frustrations for the Rockies here. But another frustration here is, you mentioned Coors Field being the place of where the Rockies can shine. That hasn't been the case for the Colorado Rockies this year. This was from earlier in the broadcast, so these numbers might have shifted slightly by the end of the game here. But at home this season, the Rockies are scoring 4.42 runs per game, a batting average of 254, an OPS of 728, and at-bats per home run. They just now, with that game, have now gone 5 games in a row at Coors Field without hitting a home run now, by the way.
Wow.
At-bats per home run, 37 and a third. At-bats per home run at Coors Field. All of those worst in franchise history. So for the Rockies, when you're looking at your takeaways, and I kind of want to lead this into where I wanted to know what your vibes are about the Rangers 50 games in. The identities of these teams are starting to show themselves and at least what they need to change when it comes to trade deadline time. The Rockies need to be a better team at home. They need to be a better offense in general. What a lot of people, I think, will sit there, and game 2 is a good point. Example here. They'll point at the pitching. They'll say, look at that. Another where the Rockies gave up 10. They gave up, I believe the Rangers, scored over 20 runs in this series, I believe. And so it's easy to point at the pitching, which, sure, yes, that is a part of it. But the Rockies offense is the true core of the problem of the Colorado Rockies. When the Rockies are competitive again, they will be a great offense with a decent pitching staff. That is the secret that we've seen work for the Rockies in the past. It's what got them to the playoffs when they've made it there. But for this team, the big letdown, I will say Kyle Freeland post IL has been disappointing. He was great to start the year, got hurt, and then came back and hasn't been good. Michael Lorenzen has struggled a little bit in the closing role for the Rockies. The Rockies bullpen, innings 5 through 7, 5 through 8. Love it. But man, those last 4 outs are a tricky thing. So I guess I kind of I answered the question that I was going to ask you for the Rockies there about the vibes and the negative stuff. What are you feeling about the Rangers at this stage? What does having a good couple of weeks of baseball here for the Rangers mean? How are you feeling 50 games in about the club?
I mean, it felt differently than I thought heading into this season. I thought the offense would be fine. Like, they don't need to be good. They really don't. I mean, especially like you talk about problems scoring runs at home. The Rangers are averaging like 3 runs at home. So if they averaged 4.5 runs a game at home, I'd be like, oh my God. Like, quietly, I don't think people realize Globe Life Field has, over the last 3 years, because in 2023 it was kind of neutral, but it's been like one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks the last like 3 years, basically ever since the World Series. So I feel like okay about this squad. They should be a lot better than they are. Right now, they're half a game below 500, which puts them right now, heading into this game, they were in a postseason position, the final wildcard spot, because the AL is trash. Like, it is really, really bad. Right now, they're just barely ahead of the Mariners, who have not been good. The A's are leading the division. They're not great right now, but I thought the starting rotation would be better. It was not great for the first month. It's been pretty good as of late. Leiter has been really up and down. Rocker has been pretty up and down. Gore has been more down than up, and Evo was terrible to start and has been exceptional the last few outings. So like the bullpen though is one of the best bullpens in all of baseball by ERA. I don't know how they keep doing it. They get these guys basically off the scrap heap. I mean, guys who had not much success elsewhere. Tyler Alexander had like a 5.5 ERA with the White Sox and the Brewers last year, 2 smart organizations. And the offense has been just like mostly pretty deeply disappointing. Corey Seager, before he hit the IL, was on an 0 for 27 skid. Like, he just looked like bad. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Hopefully Wyatt Langford will start his hitting progression sometime this weekend. But like, the 2 biggest things that have gone well for the Rangers are Josh Young has been awesome to start this season. He didn't do all that much damage in this series compared to how how much he had. But Ezekiel Duran, he was fantastic in 23 when Corey Seager went down for an extended period, and then had been not playing a whole lot the last couple of years and had been awful offensively. He had 0 home runs last year, literally 0 home runs, and he played in 90 games. And this year, like, he has unlocked something. He's playing a whole lot more consistently. He has been flat out awesome. And Foscue, Justin Foscue, like, this was his coming out party. This series, a former first round pick, a guy who had been kind of a quad A player at this point. He is brought in to like crush lefties. Rangers have a lot of lefties in their lineup, and not a whole lot of guys who they brought in to hit lefties have done well. And if Foscue can be that, I mean, the guys who they brought in to hit lefties were, they brought back Sam Haggerty. They brought in Andrew McCutchen, and they just have not hit lefties at all. Nobody has on this team. And so if Foscue can like be that, he's going to be the everyday second baseman until Seager is back. Like, this team like should be better is basically my overall feeling about this team. They have treaded water against the tough part of the schedule. They haven't taken advantage as much as they should have on this like road series. They probably should have maybe come away on Monday, but like with how much they pulled it out in this game, like I'm feeling decent. If they can just go in and just sweep the Angels, I will take that as a road trip well done, especially since you don't have Corey Seager for this whole road trip. You don't have Wyatt Langford like this whole month. Josh Smith has been dealing with a whole lot of different stuff. He's on the IL, went on the IL with a glute thing, dealt with a wrist thing, and then ended up in the hospital with meningitis. Thankfully, he's home. But like, just get well soon, Josh Smith. It's just been really weird, a really weird year for this Rangers squad. But like every time they have a loss that I think should kill them, should like, you know, crush their souls, credit to Skip Schumacher, because they bounce right back after a soul-crushing loss on Monday to a normal bad, but like still at times competent to sometimes even good Major League Baseball team, the Rockies. Like, they come back and they win 10-0 and then win this series. Also, I got to give my love to the Colorado Rockies for all the games you won against the Houston Astros, or like putting them in the dirt. Like, God bless you for that, Rockies. Love you for doing that. But that is a long-winded way to say I feel okay about this team, but they probably should be playing a little bit better than they have. They definitely still have time to figure it out, though.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and well, that'll be one of my follow-ups for segment number 3 is about that division of yours. But as frustrating as this one is, as tough as the Rockies have, I would say May in general, they had an April that surprised and still lost, still under 500, but had that early season sweeping the Astros, sweeping the Mets. There was some stuff where it was like, hey, May was a reality check for the Rockies, and it doesn't make it any less frustrating, but it's still a squad, like you said, normal bad. And that's the reminder we have to tell ourselves, and that's a good thing. As much as a cop-out, easy thing that is to say, it's good that the Rockies are normal bad, and it's good that the Rockies are approaching a trade deadline where they're going to have a lot of really interesting pieces for teams that are going to be interested for this team to really start shaking it up and add in. But I really hope the Rockies are one of those teams that see a boost on offense as the weather heats up. All right. 2 divisions in 2 different places. Let's talk about those and see what's next for the Rockies and Rangers. All coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies and Locked On Rangers. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Indeed-sponsored jobs. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. Indeed-sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed-sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about us or about Indeed on the Locked On Rockies or the Locked On Rangers podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. Segment number 3 here as we're winding down the series. I know the purists. We were talking about before the show. We were talking about baseball purists a little bit. I don't love the schedule, but I love playing all the teams. I love the fact that I know that the Rockies are going to see the Rangers every year. I think it's a much more engaged. One, it makes for a much more interesting content calendar for podcast hosts, if we're speaking selfishly, and I get to talk to my buddy Bryce here instead of just random off-season stuff where we get to play the what-if game all the time. But I'm a fan. I like this, and this will kind of lead in there. The Rockies did damage. They've now seen half of the AL West here. Have they seen the Angels yet? No, I don't think so. I think they've not half. So only 2 out of 5.
That'll be a fun series for y'all to just beat up on somebody. The Angels are truly terrible this year. So the Rockies, if they get the right guys going, if they get Jose Quintana going against them, if they get to see Tomoyuki Sagano, who has been, that is a great signing by the Rockies.
I mean, talk about guys though. These veteran guys, it hasn't been the prettiest, but my whole philosophy, I've said this all the time on the show. If a Rockies starter gives you 5 innings of 3-run ball, the Rockies should have a chance to win that game. Mm-hmm. And you can look at this series as an example, as the Rockies, they did get that from their starters in 2 out of the 3 games. Wish they would stop with the stupid opener. They've been so bad with it. Let's the divisions here. The Rockies obviously aren't going to be competing anywhere close for the NL West. The NL West has the 2 usual suspects at the top. Maybe the Giants are the surprising one here. But I think a lot of people are sitting here saying, what the hell is happening with the American League West? After a stretch like this, after a series win like this, and at this point, is the door still open for the Rangers? Is this team good enough? If all the teams in the AL West go on a heater to finish the year, are the Rangers going to be able to keep up?
Yeah, absolutely. The AL West is not that good right now. The Astros are injured and bad. They are very injured and they are very bad, which brings me immense joy to say as a deep hater. The Angels are a dumpster fire, and at least Mike Trout is back and healthy and doing fun things. That's nice. I'm happy for him. The Mariners have been kind of hurt, but also not that great offensively. Their pitching staff is also backed up a little bit from where it had been in seasons past. And the A's, they've got a good lineup. Their pitching staff, eventually this is going to come crashing down to earth. They've got a legitimately, I think, top 5 lineup in all of Major League Baseball, but they just don't have the horses in the rotation or in the bullpen to keep this thing up. I think Seattle has been better than their actual, performance has been so far. Logan Gilbert has a 4.5 ERA. That's not going to stick for the entirety of the season. He's going to be much better than that. Even Brian Wu has had some stinkers and he still has a 3.5 ERA. I'm actually kind of worried about Luis Castillo, but this Rangers team, that's the thing, is they don't have to be a 95 win team. This is not the 2012 division race that's coming down to the wire. This is not the 2016 division race that the Rangers had to win 95 games and a whole bunch of 1-run games to win that division. This is not a good division at this point because the Astros just fell off a cliff, which they were well overdue for, in my opinion. And the Mariners just can't get out of their own way. And the A's are scrappy but ahead of schedule, and legitimately once they start facing some more competent teams, I don't know how it feels every time I'm looking, the A's are facing either y'all or the Angels or some other team with a sub 500 record, and I'm how do they keep doing that? Meanwhile, the Rangers are facing the Dodgers and the Padres and all of these good teams, and I'm what's happening? So they don't have to even be that good. Just get 85 wins, I think might win this division this year. And with the Rangers facing a little bit lighter of a schedule in this in these coming weeks, it's anything's lighter than what they'd had the last first month and a half of the season. Absolutely they could go get it. And for the Rockies, there's a lot of actual legitimate interesting pieces. In seasons past with the old GM, I feel they must have been reticent to trade anybody because they knew they were going to get burned. But if you got a smart GM and you've got good players like the Rockies do, Anthony Senzatella, I thought they were just going to let him go the distance and he was going to shut this thing down. I was please get him out of this game as quickly as possible. That guy is nasty. Relievers are the perfect kinds of guys, especially in this league. I think it's perfect for the Rockies because people don't trade like when you're acquiring a pitcher, whether it's a reliever or a starting pitcher, nobody's trading for the guy that they are right now. So even if they're having a whole bunch of walk issues, if you throw 100 and you got some nasty stuff and you might not know where it's going, like look at the return for Mackenzie Gore. He had a career ERA over 4, and the Rangers gave up 5 really quality prospects to go get him. Like this is shaping up to be like a deadline that could like legitimately like completely change the next 5-10 years of Rockies baseball. Like that is the kind of opportunity the Rockies have. And I think they have the right GM in place, or at least a better GM in place to actually pounce on it, where they really haven't for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really going to be the biggest storyline since the changeover and all the changes happened, and because they had to make some moves. They brought the players in, they built the squad as what they had and what was available to them to get to this point. But come the trade deadline, it's going to be, what does this new regime look like when it comes to addressing the trade deadline? Antonio Senzatella, literally statistically one of the worst starting pitchers in baseball history last year, has been amazing and incredible. You got to be, there has to be things like that where you got to be thinking creative, because the Rockies have gotten good progress from some guys here. And really, as much as Rocky fans don't want to hear, why would we trade good players? We unfortunately are still on step 1 of the rebuild. The rebuild hasn't really happened. All of those years of losing, the Rockies didn't lose in an effective way. So this trade deadline is going to be one that can start setting things up to actually start getting the Rockies on the right path here. But I think the American League West is going to end up being a fascinating division to watch down the stretch here. And you can relate to it though, Bryce. All you got to do is make that postseason, right? And you just take that run and you take it where it goes, and maybe you end up winning a World Series over the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Honestly, you never know. Like, of all the Rangers teams, the Rangers made the postseason every year outside of 2014, from like 2010 to 2016, and I think most of those teams were probably, I felt better about those teams way better about those teams heading the postseason than I did about the 2023 Rangers. I was like, okay, they stumbled in there by some miracle. I mean, if you can get yourself Bruce Bochy heading into postseason series, that definitely helps, because he literally has never lost in his career a single winner take all game in his entire career. He's like 13-0 at this point in his career, which is just insane. But like, the right kinds of things can happen. Truly unbelievable things happen to make that Rangers run possible. Adolis Garcia has not come anywhere near that for like the whole rest of his career. Jonah Heim has bounced around between like 3 different teams so far, and the Rangers just cut him loose. I mean, guys that were huge key contributors in that run. I mean, Josh Borges was the reliever who nobody could touch, and he's barely played on a major league field since then with injuries and ineffectiveness. Like, and even Jose Leclerc, who was the Rangers closer in that run, like it's just so many of the right things. Rangers had 2.5 starters heading into that year, and like heading into that postseason. One of them was Nathan Eovaldi, one of them was Jordan Montgomery, and like that plus 3 relievers that you could trust, and a whole rest of the bullpen was terrible. An offense that banged, all of them at the right time, having career seasons. Like, you just need to get in there, and something stupid and good could happen. And like, why couldn't it be for your team one year?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's next here for the Rockies and Rangers? The Rockies are heading to Arizona to open up a 4-game set. Off day for the Rangers on Thursday before a division matchup in Anaheim, Los Angeles, wherever the home of the Angels actually is there. But that is going to do it for us here today on Locked On Rockies and Locked On Rangers. Bryce, where can everyone go to make sure they're staying up to date with all things Texas Rangers baseball and Bryce Patrick?
You can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. That's Bryce with an I. Follow at Locked On Rangers on Twitter. We got the actual at Locked On Rangers before the hockey one existed. And you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Where can the fine folks who are wanting some Rockies content find you, Paul, and all of your great work?
Hang out with us, Locked On Rockies on Twitter, and actually LO Rockies specifically, but best place, come hang out with us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Fire off your Rockies hot takes. Say hello from Rangers Nation. But folks, thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Go check out all the other great content available on the Locked On MLB channel for you. And until next time, we'll catch you on the Flippity Flip.